Hi, welcome to my layout. I'm Per Larson, owner of Summit Custom Cuts and owner and builder of this modern Union Pacific layout based in South Central Texas. I've had a lot of requests from you guys watching my videos to make a layout presentation video, so I'll make a walkthrough of the whole thing and show you an overview. So enjoy. The layout is along the wall with two peninsulas, and it's 44 feet from here to here, and it's 27 on the widest spot here from here to here. Underneath the visible layout there's a layer of stagings. Here on this picture is staging 1, which is the main staging. Has 16 tracks across, so that's 14 parking tracks and 2 through tracks, so you can go either way around the reverse loop, which is up here, and double track coming out here and a crossover, and the main line comes out in the visible layout here. This is the Fort Worth sub, and another line comes up here, still hidden this way, and comes out visible on the layout up here. That's the Austin sub. The Fort Worth sub comes out here under a highway overpass and runs up through the small town of Gladewater, Texas. And outside of Gladewater, it crosses over the Austin sub, goes past the ADM elevator complex, and comes up here to Waycross, which has an active crossing. And this is the beginning of Waycross siding. And here's Waycross Yard. The town of Waycross here, that's the biggest city on the layout, industrial spur, and here we leave Waycross, come out along the long Lonesome Texas Highway, which is a long stretch of straight track, so you can see a whole train straight without it curving in any of the ends. Then we come down here through the small town of Clifton, Texas, and here the siding begins, which is Coleman siding. And here in the middle of Coleman siding is Coleman transloading facility. And then we continue out of Coleman siding, comes up through Livingston, Texas, across the Trinity River Bridge, through a wooded area in the middle of nowhere, and here's the Smithfield Junction. And from here, the main line towards Houston runs under the highway, and the branch line comes down here. That's the Freeport sub, and that goes through LaGrange, Texas, which has some street running, curves around in the what's going to be oil fields, and goes away through the backdrop. The other line on the layout is the Austin sub, coming out here through the backdrop, crosses under the Fort Worth sub, and they run counter parallel on each side of the road up to the junction, to Waycross Junction. And the Austin sub becomes Longview sub, and it disappears behind the buildings and dropping down to staging 2, which we'll see in a minute. Passing through the backdrop, the Houston sub continues behind the backdrop, looping down to drop some elevation down through staging 2, which is just a 3-track staging, half a level above staging 1. And it comes up here and connects to the Austin sub and goes over the connector, over the crossover. The branch line, the Freeport sub, when it comes out through the backdrop, it also loops, takes a long loop here to drop elevation, because it goes all the way down to the low level, and here's goes into staging 3, which is another 3-track staging. And staging 3 ends here right before the reverse loop on staging 1. To give you a better idea of all this staging talk, this is staging 1, which is the main staging with 5 tracks, then 2 through tracks, and then 9 tracks. As you can see, the staging is accessible behind the backdrop. And here is staging 2, these 3 tracks. And here I crawled under the layout to show you the other end of the staging 1. I'm sitting in the middle of the reverse loop, and staging 1 connects to staging 3 over here. The little 3 tracks, these tracks are a little shorter than the rest of the staging, and it's only for locals going up and down the Freeport sub. And you can get a glimpse of staging 2 there on the upper level you see down far back. And here's the monitor showing the camera images of the staging yards. Here's staging 1, staging 2, the crossover coming out of staging 1, the loop end where we just were, and another angle of the same end, the curve in staging 1, and staging 3. Here's a very low-tech magnetic board that shows which trains are in which staging track. The DCC system is Lens LC100, and there's an amplifier, a booster, LV100. That only runs all the switches, the turnout motors, and for the layout power itself is CVP Zonemaster, 2 boosters of 7 amps each, and then there's a CVP ZoneShare, a breaker, automatic breaker system. The reverse loops are controlled by a dual frog juicer from Tam Valley Depot. These electronic reversers have proved to be the best functioning I ever tried. Speaking of frog juicers, all turnouts are equipped with those. That totally eliminates a train losing power in a turnout. I use Lens LH100 throttles for the switching areas, and CVP wireless throttles for when you need to follow your train around. This is the main staging control panel. The staging yard is automated with infrared detectors placed at the end of each track, so incoming trains, when they come up and hit the detector, it'll shut off the power. That'll stop the train and kill the sound. When a train needs to leave the staging yard, you select the track it's in and hit out, and all the switches and on the route are set, and the power is back to the track. This route automation is made with a Lens Tower Cab LW100, which unfortunately they discontinued 12 to 15 years ago, but still working, and I hope it keeps on doing that for a good long while. The length of the staging tracks vary from 27 feet up to 33 foot and 5 inches in the staging 1. In staging 2, they're only about 26 feet each. In staging 3, they're 20 and 22 feet. So that's only for the locals. The siding in Waycross is 32 feet, which can hold most trains for a meet, and the siding in Coleman is 25 feet. Most trains are about 25 feet long. The Waycross yard has 3 through tracks and a couple of stub tracks. On the videos you might have noticed that I like grade crossings. So there's 17 of them on the layout. And the speaker for the crossing bell is on the fascia. All the lines on this layout are CTC controlled except for the Freeport sub, which is TWC. The modern signals you see here are made by BLMA, and the Austin sub is the only one with older style signals, which are these G-type target signals, since this line is a XSP line. And the software controlling it is CATS by JMRI. Fort Worth sub comes out from the staging here into the visible part of the layout under a highway overpass. Comes into the small town of Gladewater. The backdrop picture here is the actual street in Gladewater. The picture is shot standing in the middle of the grade crossing. Anybody who's been to Gladewater, Texas will recognize this row of buildings and the old derrick, the old derrick they have sitting in on the little square there. Here the Austin sub comes out under the highway overpass and crosses under the Fort Worth sub. The two lines run sort of parallel on each side of the highway. Here's the ADM elevator complex. Then the Austin sub and the Fort Worth sub crosses here at Waycross Junction. And here's the connector from the south to east. This is the beginning of Waycross Yard with a downtown in the background. And here's the Waycross Yard office. Downtown Waycross with a Greyhound bus station. The backdrop scene right there in the big street is from Beaumont. This other backdrop picture is from Bryan, Texas. And the color scheme on this on the Amtrak station is from Mineola, Texas. There's a highway underpass under the yard. The old part of downtown with a small park. Backdrop picture right here is from Crowley, Louisiana. This backdrop picture is here in downtown Lake Charles. Going out through the mall area with fast food restaurants, Jack in the Box, Waffle House, and KFC. And in the foreground here is the industrial spur. Going past the Jiffy Lube and the Exxon station. And the railroad crosses under the highway here in the industrial area. This Peterson Tool Specialties, they have a little spur here with rail service, and an old abandoned elevator. There used to be a branch line coming off right here past the elevator. Going out along Texas Highway. There's another grade crossing and a little Texaco station. The actual station is located right outside of Moody, Texas. Railroad crosses over Texas 317, comes into the small town of Clifton. Backdrop picture here is also the actual street in Clifton, Texas. This is the beginning of Coleman Siding. And here's Coleman Transloading Facility. And this is the end of the scenic part for now. Continuing through the unfinished part, we're coming up through a little residential neighborhood. Up through the town of Livingston. The fire station is the actual one in Livingston. Here's the courthouse lot. I'm working on that right now. Leaving Livingston and crossing over the Trinity River. And this will be a wooded area. Coming down to Smithfield Junction. From here the Houston sub goes under a highway overpass and through the hole in the backdrop. Continues into staging. The line here in the foreground is the branch line Freeport sub. It runs down through the small town of LaGrange, which has several blocks of street running. Leaving LaGrange, you go out through a kind of hilly area and disappears under probably what's going to be a highway overpass and runs into staging.